Hello, and my name is Stelio. I am playing City Skylines today, and I am going to be starting a new city. This place, or this city, is going to be called Bella County. So, right off the bat, I'm actually going to be doing a county with surrounding towns and area instead of just one big center city. This city, or this map, is set in rural Missouri, around the Ozarks. So if you watched the Netflix show Ozark, or you read if you read the horror thriller that was Borassca by C.K. Walker, you will get the picture of where this is supposed to be. So there's going to be a lot more rural area in this map and a lot more wildlife. This is more or less a challenge to see, what kind of things can you do with the terrain, what kind of things can you do with wildlife, and, natural geographic elements. So in the Ozarks, the climate is, pretty warm. It's in southern United States. There's lakes, mountains, a lot of rivers, some pretty dry areas. I don't know if I would say desert dry or arid like that, but there are pretty hot and dry areas. There's a lot of agriculture because of the land being a lot more flatter than northern US or by the mountains, anything like that. But there are mountains as well. So I'm going to throw a bunch of pictures up just to give you guys an idea. But right now, I'm going to be working on placing roads and doing some basic terrain. So the roads that I'm placing right now are going to be for the main city. So even though this is going to be a county, there's going to be this main city where everything, all the main city aspects of a city skyline world can still be displayed. Now, this city is going to have a max population of 100 and probably 20,000, 130,000. So in terms of large cities, it's not going to be one. It's going to be on this pretty large lake right here, and unless things change, it's going to be in this position to stay. Now, there is going to be a skyline. There will be a few, what I would say skyscraper buildings. I don't think any of them will reach 150 meters. If they do, it's really close. And it's just going to be just the densest part of a southern state. So I'm going to be placing a lot of mountains and working with terrain in this because I don't really touch the terrain aspects in this game. And I feel like, especially with theme mixers and stuff like that, you can really get good looking terrain, and I want to try that because I usually just work in pretty flat areas with maybe a river or two. I want to incorporate everything, including just like tough working elements and tough just building whatever. So working with mountains, trying to shape it off and make the creases or whatever. I don't know how to describe what mountains look like, but just make mountains actually look like mountains and not just stick up from the ground and stuff like that. But there's going to be a lot of agriculture, like I said, as well. There's a ton of farming in the South. When you have climate that allows you to grow in almost all of the year, they are going to, and that's where a majority of the produce, not produce, I don't want to assume it's produce, but probably tobacco, cotton, things like that, are not manufactured but grown in the United States, happen in these southern states. Now this is pretty, I don't know how realistic this will be, especially with the blending of different biomes and things like that, because I did want to have an area where it was desert, where it was mostly sand, but I just don't think that works for where the rest of the map is based, so I might have to cut that out. But there's going to be a lot of, just little working with the terrain, and if things change episode to episode and whole areas look different, I'm going to have to probably just explain that. But like you see right here, I'm just building a little quarry, and this just some roads here around the city. And like I said, the city is not going to be too big. It's only going to have around 100,000 people or more, and it's just going to be something that you can say that's the center, that's the capital city of this state or whatever, where this is. And you can slowly see the density shrink to almost nothing. I want to have deserted towns out in the woods, one house out in the woods, stuff like that, where you can really get good views and good, just, change to what the normal formula is for building a city skyline city, especially with mods. And one thing I do want to express right off the bat is I'm not using my normal computer layout. I don't have access to that setup, not until mid-January, because I just didn't want to bring my computer back and forth because of, things that can happen in driving and transportation that I don't really want to deal with, especially I've dealt with it in the past. So having my computer break on me, just to be able to use it a couple weeks while I'm back off break, just wasn't worth it in my eyes. So I'm using my brother's computer, and relatively it's pretty good. It's a last generation computer, so I can't jack the graphics mods up entirely and all that kind of stuff. And actually I'm playing with a lower resolution than I usually do, just because I want to be able to get smooth gameplay. And then when I can move the save over to my real computer, then we can start touching the graphics, because those are something you can really add on at the very end. It's kind of like makeup, where if you don't have the good stuff, you're not just going to be able to hide it with graphics mods at all. So I'm going around and just placing a bunch of trees, because there are just not enough trees on this map the way it started. And I forget what map I picked. I think it was called like Midwest US or something like that, and I really liked it for what it had. So there's going to be a few somewhat large towns with maybe 10,000 people living in it. I might go for 2 of those towns, and then for the most part it's going to be a town, towns with 1,000 or less, and then a town with like 30 people, and then those cool towns that have like 2 or 3 people living in them with all the abandoned stuff. I want the whole gradient. I don't want to focus all the assets, all the attention to detail just into the cities, because what that does is it creates a really nice city life, but then you can't take zoomed out shots because of how weak the areas around the city look. They look completely underdeveloped, which I want to go for the all-around look, that this is a complete looking sort of area. So more trees, more life around it, and yeah, it'll cause lag to the game, but I can always go in and remove those and replace those when I need to work. And I want to get higher frame rates, but for taking panoramic shots and for getting an idea of what the map looks like naturally, I want to have trees. I'm down to about 400 or so assets, and of course as I keep playing this more, it's gonna go up huge. It's gonna go up a lot, probably up to 2,000 or 3,000, just because you can't help it. There's things you just look for in the workshop that you exist, but you don't have downloaded, and you go and get it, and that happens probably 10 to 15 times just making one little new area or a new town. So yeah, the assets will increase, but I'm lucky to say I'm down around 500 right now, which is really good for the game, just because it's a lot healthier. But so right now I have the zoomed out sort of view, so you can see the main city on the river in the middle, pretty much the middle right there. But off to the right, that big lake, this is pretty much where the Ozarks part of it is supposed to be. There's the mountain ranges, there's these lakes with these dividends, and that's directly based off of the Ozark show on Netflix. If you look at the panoramic shots from that show and from the area just the Ozarks are, this is the exact type of layout I was going to do. So like areas like that, and then up to the top left you can see that sort of desert area. I don't know if that's going to stay or not, but next to it there's also a pretty decently sized town that'll have about 10,000 people, but there's also like that big gridded off area for farming. So there's a lot that I'm going to be able to do here, and I'm really excited to get started because of what the possibilities are, especially working in a terrain that I haven't. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. See you later.